Yeah, I'm always ready to dance with you, Dr. Chris.
Wonderful. It's always good to see you, my brother. How are you?
Well, I'm good. You're good too?
Wonderful. Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, what did you want to say?
Question for you.
Yeah.
Did you get your Twitter fixed?
Yes, completely fixed. Wonderful. I am back at After One Wrestling. I didn't know it was broken.
There you go. Didn't know it was broken.
No. Wait, I thought I was hacked again, and luckily it was just a clerical mistake, let's call it. So I wasn't rehacked.
Wonderful, man. Wonderful.
I am now still X.
At X. Nice. Wonderful.
Well, I'm actually me, but I'm not X me, but
you're not X you. You are
correct. I'm right. That's scary.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? Since this has been a pretty slow news week, first of all, did you watch the AEW WrestleDream pay-per-view?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry you didn't watch it because for all the
no need to apologize.
No, I'm going to tell you why. For all the AEW doubters, it was a really, really good pay-per-view.
Good, man.
It's a very good. Other than the end of John Moxley and Bryan Danielson after the finish of Moxley using that plastic bag over Danielson's head, the rest of the show is really, really good. That ruined the end of it for me, but Mariah May and Willow Nightingale was excellent. The three-way with Ricochet was excellent. They had some really, really good matches. People thought that Bobby Lashley was going to show up on that. He didn't, but I liked what I like that they're doing is that MVP and Shelton Benjamin just seem to be, with MVP just walking around wanting to sign people. It's got a nice little burst of energy going for it at this point.
Nice.
So, I think I'm going to suggest to you that even though I know you don't watch AEW, but to go back and watch some of the matches on there. I was very, very impressed.
I'm not going to watch it, but I did. It's important for me to keep my finger on the pulse of pro wrestling as a journalist.
Show me
And
which
so,
finger you're talking about.
this one here.
Okay, I want to make sure
Uh,
it's the correct one.
yes. Finger on the pulse as a journalist. So I was able to look at some stuff on the socials. I saw a few clips from algorithms scrolling on socials, and I did see that Kanosuke Takeshita won the
Isn't
championship.
it?
Uh,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I like him. I think that
Yeah.
was a good call.
It's very,
Um,
very good. Very, very impressive
so I heard that
wrestler.
I heard they did the gimmick with. I saw that they did the gimmick with the no sell double flip type of thing again. I think that got old. From what I do know from the Bryan Danielson loss, I didn't watch any of the match.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I heard that the finish was a bit a bit wonky. What else? I saw that Adam Cole came back. What
Yes.
was it like? Was it like a segment that MJF was doing with Daniel Garcia? It was just a
Yeah,
segment.
with Daniel Garcia, and then yeah, and then Adam Cole showed up. So it was good. It was good to see the for the AEW fans. It was very, very good energy. But I watched it as I always do as a fan, and I enjoyed the show.
Good.
I really did. I really did. I want to give kudos to that to
So
them.
Adam Cole was the devil, and now he comes back with no explanation and
Well, not yet. That'll happen Wednesday night on
he gets
Dynamite.
pops
Yeah,
now. He's,
yeah,
so what do you think Adam Cole is going to say about? Hey, I was the devil. Now I'm a good guy again.
yeah. Well, I don't know what they're going to use him for, but probably him and MJF in a feud. But yeah, I mean, baby faces and changes, baby faces and
What do you
heels
think he's going to
change.
say? Like, what do you think his promo is going
I can't really telegraph it because
to be?
I think I don't think he's going to justify something deeply. I just think they brought him back. I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. Don't know. Haven't had my finger on that pulse in a little while, but
Yeah.
it was a
I
good
think
crowd pop.
you are the quintessential wrestling fan. If you're confused,
Absolutely.
I think if you're confused as a quintessential wrestling fan, I think
No,
that
no, I'm not
you're
confused. I
got to take
wasn't
on
following.
everybody
There were
else.
several weeks where I didn't follow. There's several weeks where I didn't follow the storyline, so it's not confused. I just don't know what they're going to do at this point. It's not a confusion.
Well,
It's just a lack of.
if you don't know, if you aren't aware as the quintessential wrestling fan, I can't imagine how people who are lesser wrestling fans than you would understand what's going on with Adam Cole, baby. So hey man, Adam AEW reaches the fan base that it reaches. I don't think that
Yeah,
AEW is
yeah.
really focused on expanding its base. I don't think that's good business, but I do think that
What do you mean
the
expanding? I don't
say
understand
that
what you
again.
mean. I don't
I don't
understand
think
what
that
you
they're
mean.
focused on expanding their viewer base. They've
Oh, I
gotten
don't think that's true. I think
they've got well
every
let me finish.
company.
You asked me a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They've gotten about 3 times lesser than they did 5 years ago.
Hmm.
About two and a half times
Understood.
less, 2.5 times less viewership than they did 2 years ago. They
Hmm.
lost about 200,000 people for. I'm sorry, they lost about 20 to 30,000 people for Wembley. They've lost about 7 to 800,000 people, even more. I mean, it was 329,000 people for Dynamite. Okay, yeah, you move it on a Tuesday, but at the same time, I mean,
Oh,
AEW apologists just here's my take on it. AEW apologists just we just need to stop at this point. Like it just needs to we need to stop with all the constant over and over giving an excuse of an excuse. That's just not there's just no rightful explanation. There's no
Yeah,
right
no, no,
explanation
they
to.
shouldn't even have to make excuses, to be honest
Yes,
with you. It's just,
yes, they
yeah,
should not. They should not
yeah,
be able. They shouldn't. But at
yeah.
the same time, they do it all the time. They they they
Okay.
they start off at almost 1.5 million 5 years ago. As of this month, 5 years ago, they debuted AEW. Almost 1.5 million people. Now they're at 300,000 to 700,000 people. That's my point. They're not really focusing on garnering. They're losing viewership after 5 years. Over
I,
half.
and I agree with you there, but I think a company would be foolish to not try and get new. First of all, they got, I always maintained that as long as they have TV and a TV deal that's paying for them to stay alive, in my opinion, they've got that whole Warner Brothers deal right now. That's very sweet. But again, I'm looking at it as the wrestling fan watching this show the other night, WrestleDream, and it was a good show. I'm not
Yeah.
looking at it as, well, they've lost this much audience and they've lost this much. As the fan, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. That's all that
No,
matters to me.
I don't have a dog in a fight when it comes to you as a fan. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to what not to enjoy as a fan. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not my job to do that. What I will
No,
do
right, right, right.
is give commentary on the issues that I do see with AEW. I do see major issues with AEW as a company. I mean, I it doesn't matter if I'm a fan or not. If I watched it and enjoyed it, I wanted to survive. Not only do I want AEW to survive, I want it to thrive. WWE needs competition. WWE doesn't have competition. I think we saw the peak of WWE in the Attitude Era is because they were really fighting for ratings. So they were really
Mhm.
leaving it all out on the table every single week. I don't see any wrestling company in 2024 that really leaves it out on the table. And I think that's my biggest. I've never stopped watching wrestling since I've started watching it.
Wait, what do you mean leaves it out on the table?
As far as their product is concerned, as far as their presentation, as far as their television production, it always
Okay.
feels as if I don't watch wrestling in 2024 and say, man, like they really put it out on all they really left it all out on the table. You know what I mean? Like they really had an amazing cliffhanger and some really good Easter eggs and some really good promos for upcoming debut. It's usually, I mean, both WWE and AEW. I noticed the same thing. It's basically the television viewer is watching a house show.
Mhm.
That's essentially what we're every single week. We are watching a house show, and this is your bread and butter, Bill Apter, as
Yeah,
far as understanding these territories, understanding what these house show loops look like. That's your expertise, and that's what pro wrestling looks like now. It looks like the outside audience from a television screen is watching a house show loop every single week. It's
that's
just
true.
another.
The house show loop to promote the like they used to do back in the 70s and all that, the house show loop to promote the major event coming up.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Now let me ask you
I don't think
something.
they do that. I think they just do a house show loop just to do it. I don't think they do it to promote the upcoming event because a lot of times they actually book shows. They actually book big matches past the events, the PLEs now, which I think is weird. I think it's super weird. They're booking matches and they're advertising matches past the PLE. Like everything back in the day was just like you just said.
Yeah,
All the shows would book to the pay-per-view. Full stop. Everything would just be full stop. Everything from a episodic television, weekly production standpoint, even a house show standpoint, the end all be all was the pay-per-view.
but that's
Now
what it
they're doing
is. That's what
it's
it is.
not.
So
It's
right now,
not. No,
right, wait,
no, it's
wait.
not.
Right now
It's
they're
not doing that.
promoting the
No, they're not
crown
doing that.
jewel. Everything's
Yeah, but that's
going
not the
toward
point.
crown
But
jewel.
they're booking matches past the pay per view. They do that all the time.
Oh
They
yeah,
did it
they've
with
all
Sami Zayn
sure.
and Gunther. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so it's a WWE, it's a World Heavyweight Championship match. Okay, you think that'd be at the PLE, but no, they're not even promoting the PLE, which was Bad Blood. They're promoting that match for the following Raw past the PLE. I don't think that is a weird philosophy to me for 2024.
Now let me ask you something, okay? And
Yeah.
I've never asked you this, and it's a
All right.
healthy question.
Yeah. I
You're
like it.
also in this because you cover pro wrestling.
I do.
And yet when I say AEW, I don't watch that. So how what reason, if you're an all-encompassing wrestling person, you're
I
saying,
never
well, you're
said
watching highlights.
I
You say,
never said
wait,
I
wait, wait.
was.
You're saying
I
you're
never
watching
said I never said
highlights.
that though. I never said I was an all-encompassing wrestling person. I never said that.
Okay, but that's when you're on here, that's what people expect, is that you are the
Nope.
person that covers everything.
No, well, they expect wrong because I never said that. I have never said. See, I'm a huge person. I'm a huge
I,
stickler for people saying what I said and saying it in context. Like misquoting me is ignorance to me. Like, and I said,
okay.
not this has nothing to do with you, Bill Apter.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I
But,
get that.
but people do it. But people do it all the time. And so look, if you say what I said, if you say it in context, okay, healthy disagreements, I have zero issue with that. I
I
mean,
know that.
grown people disagreeing, it happens all the time.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah.
But when people get childish and misquote and say things out of context, that's when I'm like, you're a kid. And I think at the end of the day, like what happens is a lot of times, especially in this pro wrestling culture, people misquote. They just want the latest type of buzzing thing and make them feel good about themselves. I never said that I'm an all-encompassing wrestling fan. I keep up with the products for conversation purposes.
Sure.
I never watch. The only full episodes of wrestling that I watch is Raw because I get
So,
paid to do that.
and not SmackDown.
No.
So how do you? I'm acting like a fan calling in right now.
Sure,
So
sure.
how? And I know your background, and you're brilliant with what you do.
Thank
But
you.
what my question is that watching highlights on Twitter, on social media, at time it doesn't give you a full, intelligent view of what the product really is, which is why I'm coming back to the AEW thing. Is your 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 thing from the get go was negative about it. Yet I saw the whole show, and I can see some of the negatives, but the positives totally outweighed the negatives on that show.
And I stand by what I said. I am not going to change your mind. That's not. I'm not
No,
trying to
you're
do
not.
that.
You're not.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Like
But I guess what I'm saying,
you
how
like
can you
the show, and
discuss
that's
it?
fine.
I
Yeah.
guess how can you say, you heard this, you heard that when you didn't see it?
Well, this is my philosophy on pro wrestling nowadays, Bill. So if I'm watching a highlight of something and it's worth watching more of it, then that would cause me to get into watching more of that particular segment. And
Okay, that's
so
fair.
and
That's
and
fair.
so I have access to watch Raw, SmackDown, AEW every week. I'm I have Hulu. I have streaming services, and so I've been watching wrestling. I can tell you, you know how much of a pro wrestling historian I am, and
Oh,
I
I
love
do.
pro wrestling
I do.
trivia. I love pro wrestling history. I love, I grew up being a pro wrestling fan my entire life, man.
Yeah.
So that's something that I will hold on to, and like I said before on this show and other shows, my great grandma is my late great grandma, and she was the one who raised me to become a pro wrestling fan, and this is in honor of her. and I'm blessed to work with you. I'm blessed. I mean, I'm working with the legendary Bill Apter. Are
Well,
you
no, I'm
kidding me?
working with the legendary Dr. Chris. Come on, stop.
this is this is your wheelhouse, man.
A legend in my own mind, like Lou Albano used to say.
So I'm blessed because of that, man. That's here's the thing. When it comes to this as a business, I love it. I love working here. I love what I do. I think it's fun. I get paid to roast a pro wrestling bill. I mean, like that's I get paid
To
well, very well to
roast the
roast pro
pro.
wrestling. Yes, yes, I love it. I roast WWE. I roast AEW. I roast pro wrestling as a whole, and the reason why I do that is because I grew up watching wrestling in the 80s. I grew up watching wrestling in the 90s. I watched wrestling in the 2000s. And I would say probably the last 15 years I've been utterly disappointed with the product as a whole. Because it's jumped away
Yeah,
from what brought it to the dance, in my opinion.
it
It's
is
very
totally,
it's less.
totally. He's listening, by the way.
He is listening, yes, and you know that he's the goat in my eyes.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I mean that's, and I think those, I love when you ask me questions, Bill. I think you're so good at it. But yeah, I mean that's just my take. There's been certain things that I was like, okay, cool. I'll see that on the socials, and I'll see more about it just to get I'm a context guy. I love context.
I know you
So
do.
I'm not going to watch a sound clip and comment on it. I'm going to say, okay, so I see that bit. So I want a little bit more context of that bit. So I'll go back and watch the full thing. Like I watched, like, for instance, I saw all of the Moxley gimmick, the suffocation gimmick, or
Oh,
whatever. I
I
saw,
hated that. That
yeah,
ruined the whole
I
thing
saw
for me.
bits of those, and so I went back and saw the entire thing to bring more context. I'm not
Yeah,
going to comment just on bits.
yeah,
I'm going to
okay.
comment on the full context, and so
Hmm.
that's what I do. But if something's not worth me going back and watching it extensively, if I'm not interested with the bit, I'm not interested in watching more of it.
What interests you in pro wrestling these days?
Um, Love, wonderful question.
Is there one thing that you can just pick out and say, I watched, you watch Raw.
Mhm.
What makes you not watch SmackDown? It's the
I
same
don't get paid to
company.
watch Smack. I don't get paid to watch SmackDown.
Oh, so,
Yeah,
okay. Well, you
I get
just
paid to
answered
watch.
the question for me.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't. I'm a college professor
I know.
and a therapist, but I have 3 jobs a week, and I'm blessed to make a lot of money, but I'm incredibly busy. And so on a Friday night, I am decompressing from a long week, and I work on Sunday evenings too, as my
Yeah,
professor work,
yeah.
and evenings. So Friday night, one of the last things that I do want to do is watch SmackDown.
So no
I,
DVR.
yeah, I have it on my DVR, but I don't watch it. And, yeah, I mean, I don't go back and watch it. Like I like social media. I enjoy social media. I enjoy the interaction. So social media is full of I mean, that's how YouTube works too. Social media is algorithms based on, search history, uh, uh, subscriptions, things like that. That's how they feed content onto your homepage and on your feed. So I get wrestling stuff all the time because a lot of times I break wrestling news on my Twitter page, and that's the only page that I break it on. I mean, my Twitter page and my X page, I got a lot of fans that are followers of my content that really enjoy, me as a brand, and so I appreciate it. So I want to
Yeah,
give
yeah, yeah.
I want to give those people my time and attention because I'm super grateful for them, following me and interacting with my stuff, and so they deserve
Sure,
that to me, in my
sure.
opinion. So I do that on X, and that's where like my wrestling stuff is.
Okay.
Uh, So yeah, I mean, so with that comes a lot of algorithms of other wrestling people and wrestling commentary, and I just don't enjoy it, man. It's just there's just so many. It's just a bunch of marks, man. It's just so many marks. Like I think for Bill Apter, my opinion on Bill Apter is Bill Apter can do no wrong. Okay,
Well,
so
that's not true, but
you're
ask
a
my
pro
wife.
wrestling fan. I'll let your wife know that too.
Uh,
You can do no wrong. You get a pass from me. I think you and I don't see eye to eye on just the excitement of 2024 pro wrestling. I don't see it at all.
yeah,
But it's okay, man. Bill, here's my take on this, man. Dude, this is pro wrestling. Like this has very little. I mean, I'm blessed to work as a pro wrestling pundit. Like,
yeah.
but other than that, this has no bearings on my life. I have a wonderful life. I am such a happy-go-lucky. I mean, you know me
I do very well.
outside of pro
Very well.
wrestling talk. We room together. We stayed. We just joke around all the time. You and
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
We laugh. We joke.
We're both
That's just
very lighthearted,
yes, indeed. You know, very huge jokester. Very optimistic. Very loving. Very caring.
optimistic. That's
Yes.
see, that's my
Yeah.
point here. Is
Yeah.
that I'm optimistic. I want to see a show, and I want to
Yeah.
be, and yet, I can do that on TV, but it's very hard for me to sit in an arena
Yeah.
and watch a show without commentary
Yes.
and just lose myself in that. That's one thing that I find hard to do.
I can respect that.
I see we're running close to our time here. I need to bring something up
Let's do it.
uh, that that bothered me.
Yeah.
And you probably know what it is. The thing with Vince Russo and the
Rikishi.
Rikishi thing, where
Got some super chats.
if I understood it right, Vince, and I love Vince. I think he's a great guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, bro. Um, but when he called, that belt is just a prop, bro, and why go crazy and what? And to me, the whole feel of bringing the entertainment value and the pro wrestling value to the fan and to yourself, even though yes, it's a writer and a producer that gave you all this, it's the big promotion into the company that you've
Yeah.
always wanted. So for when I read that he just called it a prop, it just knocked me out because I can't look at it that way, and I never will. And I understand why Rikishi was so PO'd
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
So it's interesting. It goes full circle to what I just said about context. And so you just said something very interesting. You said I read it. And so with that, it requires a lot of depth and context
Oh, well,
to
no, I saw what you the other night. I saw what he said
as
about
we
it from a fan. Right.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So you still read it. So he said the prop thing several weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically, and I talked about this on the show last night. So it's apples to oranges for me
For you.
looking away. Okay,
Hmm.
so you have I'm just a journalist. Okay, I'm looking at a writer and a wrestler basically fight over something that they will never see the same about because they're not the same type of person. So Vince Russo is a writer. He gets hired. He got hired in to write. He's not one of the boys. He'll never be one of the boys. And so, different from you, you go backstage, you talk, you catch up.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bill Apter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you and I have done that plenty of times.
Yeah.
You've been such a sweetheart and introduced me to a lot of people
Thank you.
that I've grown pretty close to. So, so that's different than the writer part of it. Vince Russo's coming in as a writer. Rikishi is coming in as a wrestler. Those are two different mindsets and two different understandings and appreciation levels of the industry. So I brought up this type of example yesterday. Vince Russo's like the HR. He's like an HR management. All right. And basically what he's just there, he's just in the room, the conference room, when they're doing like the employee of the month. Right.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand from an HR standpoint the blood, sweat, and tears that the employee of the month had to go through to get the trophy.
Sure, right.
So he doesn't understand that. He doesn't get it. He never will get it because he's not one of the boys. He's just in HR, right? And he never will understand one of the boys getting the employee of the month trophy. So what happens is
I don't agree. He was around the wrestling business so long.
That has nothing to do with being one of the boys.
But I just don't buy
he can be in HR for 30 years.
Yeah, but
he's still not one of the boys. He's still the HR guy. He like, again, him being around the employees doesn't make him one of the employees. He's HR. He's the HR guy. So he could be saying.
No, I get that. I get what you're saying, but for him to.
He could be saying for 30 years, oh, it's just a trophy. So when the person gets the employee of the month, they're like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting 3 years for this. I'm so glad it comes with this. It comes with the bonus. It comes with this incentives.
But it takes the respect out of it for the employee. It really does. The employee great promotion. And it takes the respect away from it.
Okay. So again, like I said, you're coming from it from one of the boys. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with Rikishi's take. I don't disagree with it. I think he did get a little too worked up. I mean, but I don't disagree with his take from a standpoint of a wrestler. Like, I think it's Mars and Venus. I think it's apples and oranges. I think that because Vince, I don't necessarily disagree with Vince's take from a non-wrestler. Like, he is the guy, he's looking at things from a television production standpoint. To Vince Russo, it was a prop. It was a prop.
Would Eric Bischoff have had the same thing and calling that thing a prop? Probably not. And he was.
I don't know. I can't speak for Eric Bischoff.
No, I can't either. But I'm saying I know for a fact that the respect that he has, and I'm not saying Vince doesn't respect these people, but I'm saying the respect that he has for the business alone would not have me called.
Kevin Nash called it a prop.
Okay. But what is that?
And Kevin Nash is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's one of the boys.
I get it. I get it.
So he's business. Kevin Nash has a business mindset. Kevin Nash isn't about, hey, I grew up as a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling mark. I'm one of the boys from a standpoint.
I saw that.
And you know Kevin. I mean, much more than I do. You know Kevin Nash, and you saw that, and you see that he's a business guy. That's what he's all about.
Didn't Vince kind of knock the feeling that Uso emoted when he won that title? Wasn't that part of this whole thing?
He didn't. Okay. Nope, he didn't. Okay. So we both the following week talked about how anticlimactical his promo was. And it was. Mm-hmm. He flubbed a bunch of his lines. He paused. It was really weird. And the thing is, it was from a standpoint of, we both just wish that there was that genuine, post-show. Like, for instance, everybody knows I'm a college football fan, and I'm going to keep saying it out now.
I know you.
And so what happens is, when the big team wins, or when a team wins the big game, the first thing that they do is they go to the coach and they interview the coach how the coach feels. Yeah. They don't wait a week later and ask the coach how he feels about winning this big game. Mm-hmm. They want that genuine, authentic, raw emotion. when they talk about winning a game. They've seen coaches cry, they've seen
Yeah, yeah.
coaches say a
We've
bunch
seen
of
it. We've
crazy
seen it in
stuff and get
baseball,
yeah,
football,
get hyped, get pumped and everything.
boxing.
They're a lot more settled a week later after winning a game. As a matter of
Sure.
fact, they're more focused on the next game.
Hmm.
And so you want that raw emotion. I actually think that WWE should do that more. I think that when they have those big moments, when they have those big title wins, interview them right there. Interview them
Oh, I
right. Like
agree.
if
I
you want
agree
to
with
have
that.
that, if you want to have that sports entertainment feel, that raw emotion,
Do it
go to
there.
the wrestler right there and interview
Yeah,
them and get that raw
run in the
emotion.
ring with the microphone, and my
Absolutely.
God,
Yes. Yes.
agreed. I
Yes.
guess I guess my whole point here was that kind of brushing it off as a prop, and Kevin Nash saying it doesn't justify it to me. I don't even like that he would say it, but that's just my feeling here.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I don't disagree with your take, Bill.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand why I understand your take from your vantage point. Like that's the thing. That's the thing about being a grown up, man. Like, not everybody agrees with your vantage point, and that's
Don't call
okay.
me a grown up.
You're not a grown up.
All
I am.
right.
But that's the thing about like it's okay, man. Like pro wrestling fans are some of the weirdest fans in the world to me because it's so childish. Like you don't agree with my vantage point, you don't agree with this person saying this, and therefore I'm gonna get butthurt about it and show how much I
Whoa, see,
love
and I
you.
don't agree about the whole childish thing too. It's
Oh,
people that are
Bill, come on,
it's
man. You gotta get
no,
your
no.
head out
It's
the gutter when it comes to
it's
that stuff.
people who are invested as fans
No,
in
see,
this product,
that
and they
sounds,
want to believe
Bill.
it, and it's a
No, I
movie.
love you, man.
It's
I
a
love you,
movie.
man.
It's a
Bro,
movie.
brother, I love you, man.
You
I
got
love
a
you. You know
bro
what?
in there.
You
All right.
know I do. You know I love you, Bill. But that is a warped, that is a very narrow way
I
of
don't know.
looking
I
at
think
that.
sometimes you go
You're
too
so ingratiated in the pro wrestling business that it's very easy for you to say something like that.
well.
But at the
It's what
same
I
time,
believe.
I because you're so you're so in it. Like this is your face and this is pro wrestling. Like
Yeah,
you're really up against
yeah,
it. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so your view of it isn't as panoramic as mine. I don't have my face in
But
pro
you
wrestling.
called it childish. That's
I
what I
didn't I call what childish.
What we just were talking about. You said that the
Didn't say
wrestling
that. See, there we go
fan.
about context
Okay,
again. I didn't say
okay.
that.
So
I
what
didn't
did
say
you
that.
say about childish?
I said that the pro wrestling fans, based on the product, they don't look at things from a multifaceted way. It's
Okay,
usually it's oftentimes I don't agree with this person, therefore I'll say ad hominems. I'll
okay,
show how lowbrow my emotional quotient is, my emotional intellect, my emotional stability is.
yeah,
It's just a very childish way. I mean, both you and I have received negative comments before, Bill. You know that.
yeah. Of course.
And so and we both have to discuss like, that's just kind of a lowbrow
Hmm.
way to express your emotions as a grown up. That's what I'm saying. Like this, it's a very interesting culture over here as in the
It
pro
is.
wrestling
It
world, in the
is.
pro wrestling bizarro world.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's easy for people to throw in different types of views about Vince Russo, and
And again, I
it's
love him
easy to
personally.
yeah, I know that,
You know,
yeah,
great
and
guy.
I'm not saying this about you, Bill. I mean, you're again, man, you're a national treasure. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
but I will say this: it's easy for people to get bite-sized bits of stuff and blow it up to very lowbrow commentary on it.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think and I think that is a very skewed, and I think that's a very low integrity way of analyzing things.
Okay.
And I think we see that a lot in the pro wrestling world. One and two, it was an out of context quote. Look, do I view pro wrestling championships as a prop? I don't. I view pro wrestling championships as a achievement, as a trophy. However, I do understand from the standpoint of Vince Russo, he literally had to use the title as a prop as he was booking because of the politics that came with it.
Okay.
So he literally had. So if someone is politicking their way to a championship win, he literally had to use it a prop to hush them up and give them what they want for just a little bit. Right. So he literally had to use it as a prop to advance the storyline. He literally had to use it as a prop to bring more layers to an angle. So in that perspective, as a writer, he did have to use it as a prop.
I guess it's the word that ticked everybody off, especially Rikishi.
I can understand that. I don't from a Jey Uso perspective, I don't think that it's a prop from Jey Uso. It goes back to my employee of the month. If he's in HR and Jey Uso's winning a trophy as employee of the month, and he's like, oh, he's just politicking, he's just a prop. A lot of people say, no, it's not a prop. He really earned his way, to that. Yeah. And that's true, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, wrestling's predetermined, wrestling's scripted. You didn't know that.
I didn't know it was broken.
You didn't know it was broken. At the end of the day, it does require a Tony Khan, a Triple H, a Vince Russo back in the day, a Billy Corgan. They're the ones that are like Vince McMahon, of course. They're the ones that are like, here you go. I'm going to use this. I'm going to put this title on you. What did Hulk Hogan do to earn the WWE Championship?
Hulk Hogan was a ticket seller. He put asses in the seats. The fans loved him. His personality. That's
not initially. He got the title just a few months after he came to the WWE.
Yeah, he was a heel initially, right?
Yeah, but he left and came back to the WWE.
Once Vince McMahon saw what this guy was and what this guy could do.
Based on what?
Based upon fan reaction.
So
based upon his personality.
So just a few weeks after he came back from AWA, they put the belt on him.
Yeah.
So what did he do? How did he?
Well, it was the writers and it was Vince and everything that said, we're going to take the Iron Sheik, who's this evil guy from Iran, and we're going to make a real American. It did that, but the belt meant something. It didn't mean a prop.
But it was.
I hate the word. I'm sorry.
It was a prop for Vince McMahon to expand his viewer base to be more rock and wrestling culture.
Oh yeah.
It was.
I just can't use the word prop.
I understand. Again, this is your face. This is wrestling. So it's hard for you to think of it that way. But it absolutely was a prop. It absolutely was a prop for Vince McMahon to use for Hulk Hogan, to use to put on Hulk Hogan.
Let's say it was a vehicle, not a prop.
It's the same. It's tomato, man. It literally was a prop used by Vince McMahon to put on Hulk Hogan to expand his business to reach more of a commercial crowd.
You are trying to convince me to call it a prop, and I'm not
doing that. Again, Bill, I'm not convincing you. I'm not convincing you. Only thing that I'm saying is I'm stating my case. I think that's where you get worked up. That I'm trying to.
No, I'm not worked up. I'm enjoying this, actually.
I know you are, and we usually debrief and how much we enjoy it afterwards. Yeah. But
it's rare that I'm able to analyze you.
Yes,
that's why I'm enjoying it.
I do think you're getting worked up about the prop, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's okay, man. You don't look. You're Bill Apter. You can call it whatever the heck you want to. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. But I get it. I get it on both ends, man. I really do. I get it on Vince's end. Again, I don't agree.
Hang on 1 minute. Hang
Go
on
ahead.
1 minute.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hang on 1 minute. Don't go away.
Yep. I'm looking at. Boom.
Prop this.
Prop this.
I'm out of here. That's it.
Props to Bill Apter for that.
That's it. This isn't a prop. This is a cow championship office wrestling title, not a prop. Good night, Dr. Chris.
I love how worked up Bill is about this prop gimmick. I love it. All right, we are way over time, but
After tonight, you're defending your prop.
Yes, you're Vince McMahon didn't even want it to be called a belt. He wanted to be called a title. He didn't.
I'm out of here, Dr. Chris. That's it.
He's out of there, man.
I've got enough unscripted. This is perfectly unscripted.
No more props.
We'll see you next week. That's it.
All right. Let's really quick, like within 2 minutes, address these super texts. I got to go over pancakes and power slams. Alex, 499. Bill in a shoot fight with no rules. Who's walking away the winner? Harlem Heat or the Steiner Brothers? I think it would be one for the ages.
Oh, Steiner Brothers. Well, only because Steiner Brothers, both of them are kick ass. I think that Booker T has a heart. Stevie Ray's a little tougher, but I think the Steiners are just killer bait. Great question.
It is. Classic J Live 499. Apter, if you're able to face Ric Flair in a match, what kind of match and where and what will the match look like? Who wins? Use your imagination.
2 out of 3 falls. Number 1. Madison Square Garden. The Cow Championship Office Wrestling belt on the line. Ric Flair loses the first fall. Second fall, Wonderful Willie comes back with his figure 4 leg lock, incapacitates Flair. He cannot continue. End of the match.
Yes, indeed. Very nice. DJ Villain 222. Bill, are you mentoring anyone right now?
Say that again?
Are you mentoring anyone right now?
Been mentoring a whole lot of people on Backstage Pass. Joe Lowry, Mac Davis. Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Do you know my wife is woman touring people?
There you go. Yeah.
I mentor.
Very nice.
Here all night, folks.
Yes, indeed. And lastly, Rollin 999. But Shane McMahon won the WWF European title. Stephanie won the WWF Women's title. Vince McMahon won the WWF World title, and Vince Russo won the WCW World title. And David Arquette won the WCW World title. So, I mean, to Rollin's point, you've got Vince McMahon, and add to that, Vince McMahon won the ECW championship too. So, however, I mean, it was prop to Vince.
When Vince Russo won the WCW championship, was it a prop? Ask him.
To him.
Don't answer. Ask him for me.
To him, it was, yes.
Ask him for me.
All right.
I will ask him. One of my favorite episodes here.
Man, I always love talking to you, Bill.
You too.
Let the listeners know where to find you, my brother.
Well, I'm on Twitter X at After One Wrestling.
Yes,
and I will be in Philadelphia for Monday Night Raw this coming Monday night.
All right.
Yeah.
I am at Chris Prolific. I am heading over to Pancakes and Power Slams. Got some exclusive information about The Rock's WrestleMania status that I received within WWE. So I'll be talking about that. Pancakes and Power Slam, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a prop.
It's not a prop.
Dan
Severn tried to win it. DDP tried to win it. It's not a prop. I'm giving you props, Dr. Chris, for an incredible hosting job, as always.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. I love you, my brother.
Likewise.
Yes, indeed. This guy right here, Bill Apter. I'm Dr. Chris. This is Unscripted. Have a good night, everybody. What's your gimmick?
We'll see you. Take it.
So long.